Welcome, everyone, to Dolphin Central Radio. I am Thomas Galicia, joined, as always, by my co-host, Christopher Cochran.
Hey, Thomas.
Yes.
When is Randy coming on, right? When is Randy McMichael coming on? I hear we have one of the favorite Dolphins I grew up watching. When is he coming on the air?
Well, he's on his way. We're working on it now.
Try to find him.
Yeah, but he will be joining us later on the show. But first, let's talk about last Thursday. It feels like it was a month ago. It was actually less than a week ago. But the Dolphins defeated the Buffalo Bills in their week 11 contest by the score of 22-9. They didn't allow a single touchdown from Buffalo. Instead, they had to settle for field goals. However, prior to a second-half explosion, the Dolphins once again were held to less than 3 points in the first half. They were held to 3 points in the first half, mind you. Not less than 3 points. Exactly 3 points. What is it with this offense that they cannot seem to get started?
I think it's a mixture of, mediocre talent on offense, and you have, you're going against good defenses. I mean, for them, you know what I mean? Like, if we're saying, like, is it fair to say that the Dolphins' offense is average, at best?
Well,
at times it's above average, but
here's the weird thing: the talent that you see on the roster says yes, average. Yeah. But then you look at the statistics.
And that's where we kind of get caught up. We're like, our eyes don't lie to us. Like, we have this weird relationship with football or with sports where our eyes lie to us because we we visibly want something to validate what we see. And we see the speed. You're like, no, this team isn't that bad. But we're kind of blinded with emotion and fandom, and then you look at these numbers, and you're like, yeah, that makes sort of sense, but it's too good. I can't believe that.
Well, it's really one of the things that you have to notice, though, and one of the things that gets overlooked with this offense is the fact that this offense has started in opposition territory more than any other team in the NFL has this season.
Uh-huh.
Which I think that gets overlooked.
There's a lot that gets overlooked with this Dolphins team.
Yeah, it's a very weird team, to be honest with you. Not that you mind it, when they're 6-4. And when they've won 4 out of their last 5 games, it's not something that really bothers you. But at the same time, you just know that eventually it's going to come to bite you in the back.
And that's the one thing. There's a lot of questions. Like, we're kind of, our perception of the Dolphins, I think with most fans is it's off. We have these kind of thought processes, like the Dolphins defense, for example. It's not that great of a defense because we're kind of looking at it in a small sample size. Like, for against Buffalo, people were saying the Dolphins defense isn't that good because they were driving down the field the entire first half. Like, that first half was literally that first quarter was literally 2 drives. It was Dolphins and then it was Bills.
Yes.
They were converting third downs. Buffalo was converting third downs. They were moving the ball. But, like, this kind of, like, but at the end of the day, like, throughout the entire game, Miami gave up 9 points, 3 field goals.
Gave up 9 points, gave up 3 field goals. Worth noting, they gave up 52 yards of rushing in the first half. For the entire game, the total amount of yards that Buffalo ran for was 54.
Yeah, but remember, like, a lot of people say this isn't a great defense, but, like, if you understand what the Dolphins or what their objective on defense is, then it makes sense. Do not give up the big play. Like, think about, I was actually thinking about this before I logged on and all that. Name me the big plays that have happened against Miami.
The Sammy Watkins play in week 2.
That was a crossing pattern that was underneath.
Yes,
Right?
which was an underneath crossing pattern with, and the
It
defense was kind of.
happens. It happens. And then you have the Calvin Johnson play with against Detroit last week, where like you just couldn't do nothing about it. And otherwise, like they haven't given up big plays. Except for Aaron Rodgers getting outside the pocket, but I'm talking about plays vertically down the field.
No, they're not. They're not giving them up, and that's the design of the defense. And here's the thing: I noticed that wears down on teams.
It does, and that's why.
Usually, you see it dejects them, it demoralizes them. You know how usually you see the defense wear down in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
In this case, the Dolphins' defense can wear down teams
Because they're constantly getting to you while giving up, while having drives that are 12 yards long, 12 plays.
Yeah, those are 12-play, 80-yard drives, but for the most part, the most you're going to get is a field goal, and your quarterback's going to get hurt.
He's going to get hurt. Miami's sitting just rotating defensive end, so they're constantly getting someone fresh to the ball. Their secondary is pretty good, and the minute Miami, it's as if when Miami gets a lead, like a 3-point lead or a 7-point lead, the defense just pins their ears back and they just get even better.
No, that's it. It's go time.
Because they know, all right, we'll let you drive down the field, and we're just gonna keep sending pressure to you. And you know what? It's gonna get to a point where we'll give you where you have 20 yards to score. You have to score, or it's ending in a field goal, and it catches up to them. And that's what happened against Buffalo. That's what happened against Detroit. That's what happens. When these teams, Miami will shut you down, or they'll let you get these yards, but then it comes a time where you're gonna have to kick a field goal. And that's what happens, and I think that's what fans lose perspective of, is they just see the drives, but they don't see like the totality of the game. That
it builds up.
And Miami doesn't want to get. Miami will not give up a deep ball, and that's kind of like what I'm fearful when they play Denver, because Denver is really good at what. I mean, let's face it, like they're really good at what they do. I feel like I'm understating that.
They are, but they're coming off of perhaps their worst performance in the Peyton Manning era.
Yeah, but at the same time, like they're coming off the worst performance of the Peyton Manning era with garbage at running back. Julius Thomas got hurt. Emmanuel Sanders nearly got decapitated. And you're dealing with a Wes Welker he's just a guy. Like Wes Welker, I don't know if Wes Welker is a guy. Like I don't know what he is, but that's going to happen. I mean, you're playing against a defense that's pinning their ears back when you're, in St. Louis, and just getting to the quarterback. And so, when you understand what the Dolphins' defense is, that's why this matchup is really interesting to me, is because you have a really good quarterback. You have a really good quarterback.
And that has actually been the problem that the Dolphins have had, playing really good quarterbacks. Mainly because with really good quarterbacks, you can't seem to wear them out the same way you would a Kyle Orton or a
or Derek Carr or something, or
Derek Carr or even a Jay Cutler.
There's one thing though that helps out Miami, I think. It's the fact. I mean, I'm not trying to discredit Peyton Manning, but when you go up against Aaron Rodgers and even Andrew Luck, they have the ability to get outside the pocket and extend a play. Those are the quarterbacks
the most. Whereas Manning, he's going to be a statue.
That's what you know. That's what you know. He has a quick release, but you know what? You're going to be it's going to come down to third down conversions, because I have full confidence that Miami can stop them in the running game, which I think every drive for Miami is for this defense, it's going to be 2nd and 8, 2nd and 7. And it's going to come down to third down conversions, whether it's with Demaryius, if Emmanuel Sanders plays, if Julius Thomas plays. It's going to come down to those plays. And you know what? I'll take that. I mean, it's on the road. I don't know what the spread is right now for that game.
It's Denver's favored by 7 as of right now.
But that makes sense. That's basically it's a push if it's at Miami. I think so, right? It would be a push if it's at Miami.
No, because
home team is worth 3 points.
Yeah, home team's only worth 3 points. No, they have Denver favored by 7. If it were here, Denver would be favored by 4.
But so it's gonna come down to third down, I think, and you know what? I'll take it. You know what I mean? If you know what I mean? We don't know what's gonna happen, but this is kind of what I've thought about in my head is, I'll take that, man. On the road against one of the best offenses, and Denver has a good defense too, and it's going to be a good game.
It's the number 2 defense in the NFL against the number 5 defense in the NFL. These are the 2 best defenses in the AFC.
Yeah, and they're good
statistically speaking.
Yeah, exactly. Statistically speaking, because it's really weird with Denver because they'll score a buttload of points and just force teams to like throw the ball, and next thing you know, interceptions happen, sacks happen. It's kind of like, remember when New England back in the day, like they had a good defense, but they would score so many points that teams would just start forcing plays, forcing turnovers, forcing bad passes, which would allow sacks, interceptions, all kinds of turnovers. So I think that's what we get. I think that's what's going to happen with Miami in this game.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, back to the game against Buffalo.
We kind of did a preview just now, in a nutshell, right?
Yeah, we did it. Yeah, we did the preview in a nutshell. You pretty much handled it in the nutshell. Now, if you want to elaborate more on that preview, here's a good question. Which matchup are you most excited to look for?
Well, it's now. Is this as if Julius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders is playing, or is this with?
We are assuming that they're both playing.
I really want to see if Cortland Finnegan's going to play, and if not, is how Jamar Taylor is going to do against Emmanuel Sanders, because I think it's a push with Demarius and Grimes. I mean, it's going to be a battle. It's going to be fun to watch those guys. Demarius, I think he's going to top 100. But Grimes will get his fair share of pass deflections and ending drives with his coverage.
And a pick or two.
Yeah, and I think it comes. I think it's going to be down to I really want to see Emmanuel Sanders and whoever, if it's Cortland Finnegan or Jamar Taylor, because Finnegan's hurt. Jamar Taylor played pretty decent against Buffalo on Thursday, and Miami. We could go into the cliche. Miami has had Thursday off. I mean, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and now they have a full week of practice, so they should be going in fresh.
Yeah.
But it's down to Sanders and the number 2 quarterback for Miami.
Yeah, that's really that's about the same matchup that I would go with in terms of being in terms of being the best too. Another one that I am excuse me. Another one that I'm looking forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, is and normally I would do this player versus player, but here I just feel you have to do it line versus line, and that is the Broncos' defensive line against the Dolphins' offensive line.
Okay.
And vice versa. Because that's where the game's going to be decided. I actually think the team that comes up with the most sacks during the game is going to be the team that wins the game.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Third long, converting second long, third long, even. And
I think both teams are going to face that.
Yeah.
They're both going to be forced into that because I don't think Miami's run game, as good as it's been, I don't think it will be that great against the Broncos. I think the Broncos will be able to shut them down. So you are going to see a lot of second and long and third and long and whatnot. So the ball's going to be in Ryan Tannehill's hands, and sometimes that could be a good thing. Other times, not so much.
It all comes down. It all comes down to what Tannehill we're going to get, and if you were to give me the Tannehill that could move the ball, like that's great, that's good and dandy, but it all comes down to can he score in the red zone, and I think that's what people they omit and they kind of forget. Like the sarcasm is like pull the plug on Tannehill, but with Tannehill, do you have confidence that he could score in the red zone, that he could not mess up? Put it that way.
Actually, I do have confidence that he could do that. The question is, can his receivers catch the ball in the red zone? That's a bigger issue.
Can he make the throw?
He's made the throw.
I mean, there's times where he makes it. Yeah, there's times where he makes the throw, or there's times when it's dropped, or he'll fumble it.
That we did see on last Thursday.
It happened, that's the biggest, that's the biggest question mark for Miami this year, and I would say for the past 10 years, is they can move the ball, but they can't get in the end zone.
14.
Okay, 14, fine.
14.
I don't like having 14 because it's a random number, but yes.
14. With that being said,
Randy?
Hello.
ladies and gentlemen, joining us for the top tight ends in Dolphins history, probably the best tight end in Miami Dolphins history. He is the host of his own podcast here on the Pro Football Central network. I believe it's called the Randy McMichael Hour.
That's what it's called. Don't act
Yes,
like don't act like you don't be knowing.
The host of the Randy McMichael Hour, former Dolphins great. Please welcome Randy McMichael.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm trying to get a visual of you. I can't find you yet, but I'm here. I'm here, and I'm in the house.
Can you hear us at least? I think if you could hear us is probably what
I can hear you. I can hear you. I'm in the house. I can hear you 100%.
He has no lights on.
You have no lights on?
I'm in the dark, man.
Don't
believe Ryan. Don't believe Ryan. Don't believe Ryan. All right, I'm here.
Okay.
He's not here.
Okay.
We hear you. We know you're here now, Randy. We were just discussing some of the Dolphins' red zone woes, and of course, you yourself were quite the formidable red zone target. So, what do you think would help this Dolphins offense once they get into the red zone to, turn those field goals into touchdowns?
I think honestly they have to find a way to run the ball more down in the red area. They don't have that one big receiver where you can just throw the ball up and he just go up and make a play. So they got to get more creative way. They have a lot of speed on the field, so maybe more crossing routes and things like that. But right now they're a good 20-20 team. But it seems like once they get inside the 20, it seems like everything just goes haywire. Once you stop them on first down, they seem like they're in a sense of disarray.
Yeah, because I remember when you played when I grew up watching you, so a lot of this stuff is it's just gonna fall into nostalgic.
Oh God, does that mean I'm old?
Yeah, you're old. You're old. So what I mean, back when I was growing up, Chris Chambers, a guy that can go up and get the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you could go up and get the ball. I had confidence watching you with the Fiedler days. James McKnight. Even a Rondé, like they had guys that can go up to get the ball. With Miami, it's just like you said, it's a bunch of finesse guys who they'll kill you on drag routes or a deep pattern, but that's about it.
It's like there isn't that guy that scares you in the red zone anymore for the Miami Dolphins. It's like if Ryan Tannehill throws a touchdown pass, it's 35 yards or more. They're just not that big dominant receiver. I think Mike Wallace, is a very good wide receiver. Do I think he is an $11+ million a year receiver? No, I don't. And the 2 years he's been in Miami has proven that. But because he doesn't do a good job of snatching the ball with his hands when the ball's in the air, when Tannehill can get it to him. But I think they need to find a way to get Charles Clay more involved in the red zone. I think he's their best red zone option, and they have not done a good job of getting him involved.
I was going to ask more about Charles Clay. I'm so glad you brought him up. Now, how do you think the Dolphins should get him more involved? Should they use him a bit more as an H-back, maybe hand the ball off to him in short yardage, or do you think they could devise some other plays to get him open in the end zone?
I just think that it all comes down when you're a tight end in the red zone, and Charles isn't a big guy like a Gronkowski or Jimmy Graham, so you got to find ways. Play action will be the best for him, just like the touchdown in Chicago. They were run the ball, and then they were able to hit him on the play action corner route for the touchdown. So they have to do a good job play action, and trying to get him more involved, because I just feel like when he's involved more in the offense just flows a little bit better. But when he's not a factor, it seems like it's more of a struggle, because I really think that the tight end is a quarterback's best friend.
That's very fitting for you to say that.
You like that?
Yes. I won my wager for my prop bet on my tight end saying is your quarterback's best friend. But Tannehill, he's stated numerous times that he's really liking Jarvis Landry in the red zone. I guess he feels confident knowing that he could take a hit and come down with the ball, because that's not Mike Wallace's DNA to go up and get the ball. And I think the sooner Dolphin fans realize that, the faster the frustration will go down a little bit.
Well, you know what? I mean, there's different. Mike is just not that big.
Yeah.
He's a big play receiver.
But he's not
a big receiver.
Yeah, he won't outmuscle you a little bit. If you do, you'll probably bleep yourself because he finally did it. That's just not who he is.
He's just not a big guy. He has all the ability. He's a fast, very, very fast, but he's not like a Brandon Marshall type guy. It's just not what he is. Not what he does. His whole game is predicated off speed, and once you take away that speed element, what else do you have to give me? But I mean, he's made some great contested catches this year for touchdowns that I've watched, but he's still not that guy that you just sit back and throw a fade up to.
Yeah, no, with Wallace, you definitely want to rely on what Patrick Peterson called his quote-unquote crackhead speed.
I really like that one.
That was a pretty good line, but I would like to see the Dolphins utilize that more. But how do you think they should utilize Wallace's speed more?
But you think about it, when he was with Pittsburgh, he had, Ben could sling that ball now. It was a point where you just throw it up there and Mike goes and get it. But it just seems like now it's just Ryan and him have never seemed to have gotten on the same page since he's been in Miami. It's always an overthrow or it's an underthrow, or I mean, it's so. And to be a receiver like Mike, when you have deep ball speed, it's frustrating. You see the frustration coming out a lot of times on the field when he throws his arms, or he's not necessarily pouting, but like, come on, man, I'm open, I'm here. And I just think that goes with the growth of Tannehill. I mean, he just, he's been a quarterback with maybe 4 years now, and going back to his days at Texas A&M, so he's still trying to get that rhythm going with him. But I just think that Mike wins a lot of the times. I just think that Ryan is having a hard time of getting him the football. I don't think it has anything to do with play calling, as most people would like to say, well, the Dolphins play calling this. I don't think it's even that. I just think that Ryan is just missing him. If you watch the games, Mike Wallace is open. It's just like Ryan is like, okay, throw it out, or hold, throw it, instead of just being in rhythm and hit that back foot and letting it fly.
Yeah, because I mean, with deep balls, a lot of them don't get completed, and then when they do, it's usually like a product of just blazing speed or a breakdown in coverage somewhere. Whether a DB slips, a safety doesn't read the play fast enough, gets a late jump. But I mean, when it came down to Big Ben, though, is that offensive line that Pittsburgh had was trash, and Big Ben would basically outmuscle a linebacker or a defensive end and break the tackle, roll out and just slang it, 40 yards, 50 yards down the field, or it would be Mike Wallace improvising with Big Ben, and that would just create chaos for a defense, because you don't know what the heck's gonna happen. You got Mike Wallace who's running around the field like lightning, and you got Big Ben just throwing tackles off him.
But that's what goes along with having Big Ben as your quarterback. You see, I think Antonio Bryant, who is a Miami native, I think he is one of the best receivers playing ball right now. And a lot of that has to do with Ben's ability to escape and his ability to get open. And that's what Mike did when he was in Pittsburgh. He got open, and Big Ben was able to keep plays alive and just throw the ball. And, I never thought that Mike Wallace was a number one receiver. I never thought that. Even when free agency was coming around, everybody had him as one of the top free agents. I remember listening to Warren Sapp. He's a one-trick pony, and he is. His game is based on speed. He's not the best route runner. He doesn't have natural hands. Those are number one receivers to me. Natural route runners can run any route, can catch the ball with your hands, can catch contested balls. Those are number one receivers to me. Mike Wallace doesn't do that. Mike Wallace is a good receiver, but he is just not that number one receiver that you can give 90 catches, 1,400 plus yards, 10 plus touchdowns. He is just not that guy.
Those are hard to find, though.
Yes,
that's like there's like 10 of them, and I'm being generous.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at who are the top receivers in the game now.
Miami had one.
And do you compare them as far as pay scale? Mike Wallace is being paid like one of them, but as production on the field, he's not playing like one.
No, he's not. But at the same time, it's weird because the way I look at it is he's actually playing, to the best of his abilities. I like what he has done so far this season, but it hasn't. He's not playing what he's being paid. So let's jump off the Dolphins' passing game, and why don't we take a look at their defense now? How would you rank their defense, and is this the type of defense that you would want to play against?
I'm gonna tell you right now, the Dolphins are where they are right now because of their defense. We had Luis Vasquez on the Randy McMichael hour last night, and we were talking about these ends. Cameron Wake. I'm talking about if you want to be able to affect a player like Peyton Manning, having two rushers on the end, like him and Werner, on the ends coming off the edges, that is how you affect him. And they have the right personnel to do it. They have, Miso, I think he's coming back. I think he came back to practice this week at the Mike linebacker spot. So they should be solidified right there. But I think the corners, you don't know what's going to happen with Cortland Finnegan. He's still out, so hopefully if he gets back in, Jamar Taylor's still there to fill in. But Rashad Jones is playing at an elite safety level right now. He is playing just as good as any safety in football right now. But I think the best player on their defense is Brent Grimes. I love this kid. I love to watch him play. I remember the first time I met him in Atlanta when during a lockout when I was training with the Atlanta Falcon players, and I saw this guy. I was like, who is this kid? This guy's like, we're running up steps, and he's like jumping up 6 and 7 steps at a time, bunny hopping. I'm like, this guy is an amazing athlete, and he is playing at all-time Pro Bowl, All-Pro level right now. So I think that the defense is really the reason why the Dolphins are where they are right now.
Do you feel confident going into Denver that defense could win a game for them going into Denver?
I think so because they can rush the passer. And I think if any team that can get after Peyton Manning can beat them because right now they're one-dimensional. They don't have a running game whatsoever. They're shuffling around on the offensive line. They moved Lou out to right tackle. They moved over Ramirez. They're doing so much up front, and for a guy like Peyton Manning, a movement in his offensive line especially is not good for him. And I think with them, even though he is the guy, everybody looks at all the yards and passing, you got to have a running game to keep the defense honest, and they don't have that now. So you sitting there, you're going to tell me you're going to let Cameron Wake pin his ears back the whole game? It's going to be a difficult game for Denver. Don't get it wrong because there's two things that travel on the road. A defense and a run game, and Miami has both. Even though Lamar Miller he's not somebody you would think as an elite back, he can run the football.
Chicken bar, you taste so good.
Brian, Jesus.
What? Of course, you know who that had to be.
Yeah, of course.
It's Brian's hourly soundbite.
Oh yeah, believe me, I was a part of that all night last night, man.
But with Miami with Peyton, has he ever had a running game?
Well, you look at the guy who's in Miami right now on injured reserve, former Bulldog, no Sean Marino, no.
Yeah, that was it.
He gave them balance.
That was it.
Wait, Chris, did you just ask if Peyton Manning's ever had a run game in his career?
He gave them. Okay, he had Edgerrin James now. Don't get it now.
But then he went to Joseph Adai. Went to Joseph Adai. Where that was his dump offs. That was
he
his
won
dump
a Super Bowl with Joseph Adai. He won a
yeah,
Super
but
Bowl with the guy.
He's never had a traditional running game. It's been
what about Edgerrin
James?
That was it. That was like 10 years ago.
Led the league in rushing his first 3 years in the NFL.
That was like 10 years ago.
What are you talking about?
That was 10 years ago.
But Chris, you're saying that Peyton Manning's never had a traditional running game. Edgerrin James just made the second cut to make it to the Hall of Fame.
I'm an embarrassed Bills fan wearing a wrestling mask, and I'm calling you an idiot, Chris.
That was 10 years. My point is like outside of no Sean Marino, it's always been like question mark. He had Monty Ball. Like, what's that at?
So you're
Brian
only
Gomez.
talking about his time in Denver?
Yeah. Outside before that,
okay.
before that he had a die, and a die was nothing to go crazy for.
He had no Sean. No Sean is a 1,000-yard was a 1,000-yard rusher last year. Like I said, Peyton doesn't need a 1,500-yard rusher to be successful. He needs a guy that
who could pass block.
That's the first thing. You got to be able to pass block. But he needs a running back that, you know what, if y'all are dropping in coverage, I can give this guy the ball and he can run. Just like it happened in New England where No Sean rushed for over 200 yards. New England was playing the pass, so Peyton just gave the ball. And they had a chance to win. And if Peyton has that, Peyton is so dangerous because there's nobody in football smarter than Peyton Manning other than the only person I know that gives him trouble are the Ryan brothers and the Pagano brothers and Bill Belichick. Other than that, there's nobody that is even close.
Sadly, we don't have any of those guys, but obviously we're crossing our fingers with Kevin Coyle, who has, who I think has done a tremendous job this year, especially with some of the creative schemes. Do you expect to see some of those creative schemes like the 5-2 that we saw him in play against the Patriots earlier this year?
I think so, but the one thing about going into Denver right now, they're banged up. Peyton's weapons are banged up. Julius. We don't know how his ankle's going to hold up. Emmanuel Sanders, he hasn't passed his concussion protocol yet, even though I'm sure he will by Sunday. And then Wes has been just a non-factor this year. It's surprising that Wes hasn't been a bigger part of the offense like he has. But I just really think that the Dolphins have a very good, favorable matchup with their defensive line against the Denver offensive line. I just feel like that could be the determining factor of the game because I really think that, I think that the Miami Dolphins can move the ball in that defense, but that right tackle, boy, after what I saw, I think it's Dallas Thomas, I think that's his name.
Yes.
Oh, my God. After what I saw what Mario Williams did to him last Thursday, and you mean to tell me you got Von Miller coming on that side this Sunday, I'm telling you, you better get some tight ends over there and help out that boy because Mario Williams just dominated him the whole game, and it wasn't even close.
No, it wasn't. It really wasn't. Well, so you're suggesting maybe putting an extra tight end. Also, Dolphins do have a pretty talented offensive lineman that they drafted last year in Billy Turner, who has not received any playing time. Would you consider maybe activating him and maybe playing a little bit of him on the offensive line, but like as a sixth man, a little bit offset in order to protect Dallas Thomas?
Well, that would help, but I mean, this kid hasn't been activated all year, and you're going to one of the most hostile venues in the National Football League up there in Denver, and they're coming off of a loss, so they're very upset. You're coming off a loss of a game that you should have won, and I kind of compare the Rams defense to what the Dolphins defense can do. The Rams defensive line got after Peyton. They were able to cover in the back. They were able to, but at the same time, you didn't have Julius Thomas, and they knocked out Emmanuel Sanders. So if those two guys come back, but I don't think Julius will be 100% at all. And so it's hard to determine what his availability or how much he'll even play this game. And I don't think Jacob Tamme can fill that void. Jacob is a sneaky slide type tight end. He's not as athletic as Julius. But I think it all comes down to that, the Dolphins, you would hate to see them blitz a lot to have to get to Peyton because that's when Peyton's at his best. When you're blitzing him. And he knows it. But I hopefully, the Dolphins DC has, got some new things that Peyton hasn't seen yet. Because I think that's the only way you can blitz Peyton Manning and win.
Hey, Randy, I take it you're playing with some sort of sprained ankle or lower leg injury. Did that I guess make become a factor in the red zone? Obviously, I'm not asking you to go run routes, but could you make plays in the red zone with just a sprint with like an ankle problem?
Well, I mean, if I'm
That's what yeah.
Demarius is an
Or Julius.
I'm sorry, I keep on calling him Demarius. Julius is an absolute freakish athlete, and you saw when New Orleans tried to do it with Jimmy Graham, just let him play in the red zone and everything like that. But football is such a groove sport. You got to get in the groove. You got to get that sweat going, and you just coming in on the red zone and you're not warm and everything. It's never an effective measure. You saw when they tried it with Jimmy Graham, it didn't work because Jimmy was not in the groove of the game, and you just throw him in. As soon as we get across the 20, put Jimmy in there. Let's just throw in some fades and stuff like that. It comes down to how healthy his ankle really is and how much he can actually play, because you just can't put him in there when they get to 20 and say, here, Julius, here, run this slant pass right here. You ain't practiced all week. You haven't played this whole game, but go in there and run a slant route. Because one thing that lets the defense know that, you know what, he's in here, and so let's roll the coverage or something to this guy. And that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. They had a running back. You could put him in there, have him a decoy, and hand it off to the running back.
Yeah, because I generally think that if a player, like when players come back and they're not 100%, they're just there for decoys. They're just there just to be
not just
for the threat.
Not just for decoys, but also to full fantasy owners.
Yeah, full decoys.
Now, is that why you asked me? Do you have Julius on your fantasy team?
No, not at all. I do, but I'm separating my fantasy football allegiance in this conversation because I know what's gonna happen. He's gonna play and he'll just be a decoy. He'll have like a catch or two and that's it. It's gonna come down to Brent Grimes and Demaryius Thomas.
I think that's gonna be the matchup outside. I think wherever Demaryius goes, Brent's gonna go with him. And Demaryius, he's one of those. He's an elite receiver. He's in the Calvin Johnsons and the Brandon Marshall and the Des Bryant, that conversation. He is elite. And the way Brent is playing this year, I will put him in the category with a Richard Sherman, a Patrick Peterson, and a Joe Hayden, an elite. So it's going to be fun to watch those two guys go after each other, because I promise you right now, if Demaryius is not covered by Brent Grimes on, I say, 99.4% of the time, then the Broncos will find – Peyton Manning will find the matchup and will get him the ball.
Now, what do you think is going to be the main factor? And why don't you hit us with your prediction?
I just really think that the main factor definitely has to be how can well, it's hard to say keep Denver in a predictable passing down, because Peyton Manning's like to sling the ball. But if the defensive line of the Miami Dolphins can make Peyton uncomfortable, and with the limited availability of Julius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders, I just really think the Dolphins have a great chance of winning this game. I just really feel like they can win. But at the same time, if they are getting to a scoring match with Peyton Manning, there's no way they can win. They won't outscore Denver in this game if it's an up and down, the field, throw it all over the place shootout. Ryan Tannehill and the Miami Dolphins offense isn't built for that. But if they can keep it close and physical, they have a chance of winning this football game. And it could be a close game, like I'm talking about like a 20-17 game. Oh, the Dolphins have a great chance of winning.
Oh, definitely. If you have that, I mean, that I think anytime Denver could not score 30, you have a chance.
And definitely, because even Peyton said sometimes we just got to outscore people, no matter how many free agents you bring in. Keith to leave and Ward and guys like that, it doesn't matter, because Peyton, the whole Denver runs by Peyton. The whole organization team is, if Peyton plays well, they win. And we saw last weekend when Peyton doesn't play well, they don't win. And that's what it boils down to. So the Dolphins have got to get after Peyton Manning. If you get after Peyton Manning, the Broncos will not win. It's a proven fact in this. If you watch any tape of all his losses, when you get after him, it's a done deal. But if you don't and you let him sit back there, I don't care who's playing receiver, he is going to pick you apart.
All right. Now you gave all the scenarios where the Dolphins could win, but what's your prediction?
Well,
Uh-oh.
oh God, you know what? It's hard to go against my Fins because I love them, you know. But at the same time, if it was in Miami, it'd be different. But I think because they're going up in Denver, and Denver is coming off of a loss, and I just don't see Peyton losing 2 games in a row. I think that the Broncos will squeeze it out. I say 24-10.
You're not my favorite fan anymore.
Well, I mean, I still got love for you, Chris. I mean,
Okay, you're not my favorite fan.
Well,
I still got love for. I still
Well,
got love for you.
Actually, it's a good thing you mentioned up in Denver because this is something you definitely have a lot of experience with. But what's it like going into that altitude? How much does that affect you?
I think it's so overblown. I really do. I think that it's overblown so much that you think about it, and that gives you a tendency to, hyperventilate a little bit and things like that. I play in Denver. I don't know how many times I've been up there, and I've had no problems breathing except for one time we went up there in Miami when I was in Miami, and we threw like 999 3 straight times to open the game. And your adrenaline's already going, and I mean, I was just blown. But after that, I mean, I think it's just more of a myth, but I can't say it's a myth because some players actually do feel it. If you don't care about it and just go play football, the altitude shouldn't be a factor in the game. But, but it's going to be, the one thing that you got to worry about is it going to be cold. These boys, when the Dolphins leave, it's going to be about 85, 87 degrees. But when they get up there, it's going to be in the 20s. So you got to think about the weather factor and things like that, the elements. You don't know what it's going to be like.
Brady, where are you at right now?
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh my God, it's like 60 here.
Okay. So y'all are the reason this cold front's come up here because it's like 20 degrees up here right now.
I mean, I just tend to think that a lot of the weather stuff is a little bit overblown.
I completely agree with you. I mean, once you're playing ball, it doesn't matter.
I mean, unless you're not wearing gloves, I remember when I was younger, I wouldn't wear gloves and I couldn't catch a football. The minute you put gloves on, it's basically glue on your hands. It doesn't hurt. So I don't, I think it just comes down to, if can Miami get to Peyton Manning? If not, if you give Peyton Manning, 2.5 seconds to throw the ball, he's going to destroy you.
There's no doubt about it. It's going to come down to Peyton Manning. It's all about him. I think Ryan has to take care of the football. He can't throw interceptions. He cannot fumble the ball. He has to get outside the pocket, break contain. He's had some big runs in the last, I think, 4 games. He's had a run 20-plus yards each of those last 4 games. He has to do that more this game. He has to use mobility because I'm telling you right now, if Dallas Thomas is in there right tackle and Von Miller's right up there across from him, it's going to be some issues. I'm telling you right now, I've seen it, and I know what's going to happen. If Von Miller is on that right, is across from him on passing downs, he is going to wreak havoc unless the Miami Dolphins get somebody over there to help.
A little birdie told me this, that if you were to make a comeback, you would come back and pay, in the playoffs, you'd come back and play with Peyton or Aaron Rodgers if they were to make the playoffs. But how come not Miami if they would make it?
First of all, I don't talk to birdies, so
You live in Atlanta. There's plenty. There's plenty,
But no, retirement. I think.
Don't dodge it. Don't dodge it.
Randy Moss
Don't dodge it. Don't dodge it. You said you'd go back and play with Denver with Aaron Rodgers or Peyton Manning. Why not Miami?
I never said I wouldn't come back to Miami. I would love to be a Dolphin again. Other than the fact that I was excited about the all aqua, and when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's terrible. I really thought they were going to bring back the old school dark aqua, not the faded peachy blue or whatever it's called aqua jerseys. But I would. It's all in the works. I will retire. I will sign that what they call the 1-day contract, retire as a Dolphin. But I mean, if I could have played with Peyton Manning, it would have been fun. I could just say that. I can say that. I love Dallas Clark, and I talk to Dallas sometimes. And I told him, I was like, if I was there, you just would have been, the slot guy. I would have been the other guy.
I will say this, Randy. If you do choose to come back and actually play for the Miami Dolphins, like we mentioned earlier, we could definitely use a big tight end that can catch touchdowns in the red zone.
I mean, just, if you bring me back, that's all I want to do. I'm gonna tell Coach Philman, Coach
Bandwagon.
all right, I'm gonna show up on Sunday. All right, I'm not coming to practice. Just if you need me, just send me the signal to my iPad. I'll be over at Smokes on the River over in Weston, smoking me a cigar. Just send it over there. I'll show up on Sundays. I'll play ball and leave it at that. But you know what? I love this kid. I love Charles Clay, man. I still remember the first time I saw him when Miami came to San Diego, and I saw him run past the whole defense and catch a ball. I was like, who the heck is this guy? And I was like, that's a fullback catching the ball. They were like, no, he's a tight end H-back type guy. And ever since then, I was like, I love this guy. And
You want that Phil Jackson treatment? Just
Yeah.
strictly home games. Just
strictly home games. I don't want
Strictly home games to the red zone.
I don't want to go to Buffalo and New England in the cold. No, I'll stay down here in Miami. I'll chill. I'll watch it on TV. If you need me to have one of the quarterback little earphones, I'll do that so I can hear the play call and everything. But like I was telling Brian last night on our show, I was like only pass runs I run now in the backyard with my son. That's all. That's the most exercise I get as far as when it comes to football.
You're not coaching any ball?
We actually lost in the playoffs a couple weeks ago, so I'm just relaxing and waiting for next season. Waiting on track season because I can't do basketball with these kids because everybody wants to be a one-on-one and one guy. Nobody wants to pass. Everybody wants to dribble. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to do basketball. I'll wait for track season.
So that same birdie that told Chris about you bandwagoning is now apparently telling me that you're trying to get into acting.
Hey man, I really, you know what I really want to? I really want to do a movie. I really want to do the Fast and the Furious 8.
What?
I want to be in it. I want to take Paul Walker's place. I want to come back as like Tyrese's long lost cousin that's like been in Mexico in a prison camp, and he comes back because Dom needs his help in Mexico to go get his sister, who is down there. Her and the baby were on vacation. And so they break me out of jail. I'm driving a car. That's what I want to do. I want to do Fast and the Furious 8.
Do you have any acting experience, or is this just like one of these things you just want to knock off the bucket list?
I mean, I've done commercials, but I'm talking about.
Let me hear it.
I want to be. I can cry. I can cry on cue, and things like that. I have a foul mouth, so I'm surprised I haven't cursed yet. So I can curse and do all those things, and I don't even need a stunt man. I can. Let me take that back. I don't know if I can drive a car like that, but I just want to be that guy, and when they say Vin Diesel, Tyrese, Ludacris, and making his film debut, Randy McMichael.
Coming summer, Quentin Tarantino is bringing back Montana in Pulp Fiction 3, starring former NFL tight end Randy McMichael playing the role of Jules Winfield. Winfield is back and kicking.
Proud out of you.
Like, can you guys see me on the red carpet? Me and my old lady on the red carpet? I wouldn't know how to act.
Oh, that would be exciting, though.
I'll come out in a red and black tux. Let her wear a red gown. I have a red and black tux.
Why not Dolphins?
With a Georgia bow tie.
Georgia.
No, that's why he's got to represent the Bulldogs.
Yes, I got to represent my dogs.
Alma mater. How do you feel about what's going on with with Todd Gurley and all that?
I just feel bad for the kid, man. I really do because I mean it just seems like it's one of those I told you so moments where you have nothing to prove. I actually did a Georgia Bulldog podcast this afternoon with a good friend of mine, Terrence Edwards, and we were talking about that same subject. And he asked me, what would I do if Todd was my son? And if Todd was my son, I would have told him, you have nothing to prove. You don't need to go back. But if he came to me and said, Dad, I want to come back, that's your decision. But you got to understand the risks that's going to go with it. And it was just unbelievable, just unbelievable how the first time he touched the ball, even though it got called back, he runs 100 yards for a touchdown. Just shows you how special a player he is. And then he's running the ball so well and just makes the wrong cut, and he tears his ACL. I mean, it was just unbelievable. You just couldn't script that. It's like I said, it's like the ultimate, why did you come back? And I've talked to people up there this week, and he doesn't regret it one bit. He doesn't regret the fact that he was a locked top 10 draft pick. I still don't think he'll get out of the first round because I go back and I think about the Willis McGahee thing and how Buffalo took a chance on Willis McGahee, and he was a productive running back until he decided that there's nothing to do in Buffalo and got his way up out of there. But I think Todd can be that guy. It's just a clean ACL tears, no other ligaments. So the sooner he gets the surgery, the sooner he can start rehabbing and get himself ready.
Yeah, that's the second time that's happened to a Georgia Bulldog player in terms of illegal benefits. You had AJ Green as well. He missed the remaining of the year though. But
AJ missed the first 6 games of the season. It happened before, and he came back at the end. And it's just unfortunate because you applaud his loyalty to Georgia, and I do applaud that. But it's like he had nothing else to prove as far as the next level. And when you look at it that way, I'm sure he did a lot of thinking about it, and I'm sure you had a lot of people pulling him both ways. But I think when the ultimate decision came down to what did Todd Gurley want, and he wanted to finish he wanted to play for the University of Georgia, and I can't do nothing but admire that. But like I said, if he was my son, I'm like, son, you have nothing left to prove, man. Let's start training. Let's get ready for this NFL Combine. You're a locked top 10. Let's see if we can get you in the top 5 because he is an Adrian Peterson type running back. He is a special football player.
Would you like to see him with the Dolphins?
Oh, I mean, I would love for him to come to Miami, but Miami's going to the playoffs, so I don't think Miami's going to have a top pick that high. So how did that? I came back real strong as a homer, but I think that
appreciated.
I think that Todd would fit in any system, because he can catch the football, he can play special teams, he can return kicks. I just feel like the Dolphins, they need upfront help. They need some more, especially in the interior line. I think Pouncey is about tired of being at guard. He's ready to go back to center and things like that. But I just think that they need more interior linemen more than they need the running back. And a big receiver.
They do. They certainly do. Randy, thank you so much for joining us, man. It was fun.
Hey, my guys. Hey, man, I just appreciate you guys having me. And anytime you need me, just let me know. I'll be there. I have the camera thing fixed. I'm not too computer savvy, but guys, it's always a pleasure to talk about my Dolphins. And anytime you need me, you let me know, and I'll be there.
No problem, and we'll definitely have you. We're definitely gonna bring you back on the show.
My guys.
We'll just talk about acting next time, though. Just 30 minutes of acting.
Anything you need, man. We can talk about acting. We can talk about grilling, because I'm a grill master and all that stuff. Hey, anytime you need me, I'm there. Y'all guys have a good night, man.
You too, sir.
All right, brothers.
Then that was Randy McMichael. He is the host of the Randy McMichael Hour here on Pro Football Central. You can also follow him on Twitter at RandyMac81. Now, Chris, why don't you tell everyone where we can find you on Twitter?
Cochran1043, and I think the Dolphins are going to lose.
Score?
30-20.
And you can find me on Twitter at Thomas Galicia, and I was going to pick the Dolphins to win, but then Reddit keeps reminding me every time I pick the Dolphins to win, they lose. And every time I pick them to lose, they win. The only exceptions being against Buffalo last week, against Jacksonville, and no, those were the only 2 exceptions. With that being said, look, Peyton Manning's still going to Peyton Manning. I think he'll get sacked 4 or 5 times, and he'll still find a way to beat the Dolphins, and he'll probably do it in the last 2 minutes, which means we're going to hear this fan base complain about timeouts again. Yeah, it's going to be one of those weeks. 31-27, Miami will be leading at the end until Peyton Manning makes a comeback, and Dolphins fans are going to forget about the fact that they're going against Peyton Manning at home, and instead are going to talk about Joe Philbin using timeouts. I can't wait.
So you're saying we're going to get a cock punch?
Yes. We're gonna get the cock punch, and we're gonna get the whiny fan base that again will forget. Oh, we're playing against Peyton Manning, and instead, oh, why did Joe Philbin use those timeouts? Why did they do this? Why did they do that? I swear, this team could win the Super Bowl. They'll find something to complain about.
Of course they will.
Except you, the listeners, of course.
Yeah.
You're the smart Dolphins fans. So with that being said, have a great night, everybody. We will see you next week.